When we talk about wars, suddenly it strikes a lot of weapons, armory, fighter jets, and many more. But can you tell me the area where is the major part of any war fought in most cases? Right now, there are currently 27 ongoing conflicts worldwide, and most of them are for minor encroachments, i.e., Canada and the US have one land dispute over Machia Seal Island. Globally, Indo-Pak and Indochina are famous border disputes. So when the wars break out, here needed the Hulk, i.e. heavy tanks. So hey viewers, welcome back to Alpha Tanks. Today we are back with an amazing tank. Today we'll discuss a French tank when this tank is on the battlefield. The game is played one-sided by the French army with help of this tank. Are you excited, friends? So without any delay, let's dive into the video. But before that, please hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel to get every single update about the channel. Folks, we are talking about the French AMX-40 MBT. The Char de Bataille AMX-40 Model 1940, also known simply as the AMX-40, is one of many French tank designs that were created in the 1930s and 1940s, but never saw the light of day, either due to a lack of interest or the unfortunate interruption caused by France's military woes in 1940. AMX's cavalry tank project is arguably one of the most well-known of those designs, owing to its appearance and distinctive appearance in a popular video game. France was not among the first countries to experiment with Christie designs, owing to French tank designers' preference for suspensions that allowed for greater crossroad capacities at the expense of speed. Nonetheless, Christie's suspensions were taken into account to some extent. Let's talk about some basic characteristics of the French AMX-40 MBT. The AMX-40 proposal was for a 16-ton cavalry tank with a 3-man crew, a commander-gunner and a loader in a 2-man ovoid turret, and a driver in a centrally located driving post. The vehicle would have been 5.33 meters long, 2.45 meters wide, and 2.37 meters tall. The hull was 2.03 meters wide without the suspension. The vehicle was cast and featured the 47mm SA-35 anti-tank gun, which was used in a wide range of French tanks from the late 1930s, including the Somua S-35 and S-40, the B-1 BIS, and the second production run of the Renault D2. Now about its amazing hull design. AMX-40's hull used the cast construction. The central driving post gave it a rounder shape than most tanks of the era. This post had a large openable hatch for outside of combat vision. In combat, one central and one side episcope provided driver vision. To its right was 7.5mm drum magazine storage, and to its left were batteries and storage. The tanks had steering wheels. The AMX-40 had a Robin van Roggen CAVT, an automatic transmission without gears. This transmission was installed behind the engine on the left rear hull. The AMX-40 was designed with a 4-cylinder diesel Aster engine that produced 160 HP at 2,000 RPM, but a 6-cylinder engine with 220 HP was considered. This engine was also on the left side of the hull, with the air filter and radiator to its right and the engine oil tank to its right. Left transmission exhaust. On the hull sides were diesel fuel tanks. As diesel fuel is less flammable than regular fuel, it could increase the tank's protection. The front hull armor was 60mm thick, 50 to 30mm on the sides with 15mm sponsons, and 40mm at the rear. Unless projectiles hit the driver's post, they would hit sloped armor, increasing the armor's effectiveness. The AMX-40 had a radio in front of the engine compartment and behind the turret. The hull-mounted anti-aircraft machine gun was also mounted here. The AMX-40 project also included a suspension model based on the Christie design. The drive sprocket was located at the back of the suspension, and an idler wheel was located at the front. The suspension featured 4 large road wheels per side, each with an 82cm diameter. Return rollers were unnecessary due to their small size. The AMX-40, like several Christie designs, was intended to be able to continue operating in the event of a broken track. To some extent, the first 2 road wheels were driving wheels that could be rotated, whereas the 2 rear wheels were motor wheels. The majority of the suspension was shielded by 15mm thick side skirts, which would have revealed only the bottom of the road wheel, the front of the tender wheel, and the back of the drive sprocket. The AMX-40 was designed as a cavalry cruiser tank with the goal of reaching speeds of 45 to 50 km per hour on the road. However, with the first Aster diesel engine producing only 10 HPT, it is questionable whether such a top speed could be achieved. A turret design matters a lot in any tank for an all-around attack on enemies. The AMX-40's turret, like the hull, was made of cast iron. It was shaped like an egg, with a rounded gun mantlet protruding from the front. This turret was designed to hold 2 men. The gunner, who also served as commander, was to the left of the gun and the loader was to the right. They were perched on a strap that moved in tandem with the turret. Though a two-man turret was a commendable feature for French designs, which frequently used ergonomically disastrous one-man turrets in the 1930s, the turret ring's small diameter of 90 centimeters would have made this turret quite cramped. The turret had a hydraulic rotation system that was controlled by a handle in the turret. The tank for the liquid used in this system was located in the turret's rounded top. The turret had a single vision source and a panoramic telescope installed on top of the turret. The two openings on the turret side housed the tank's optical rangefinder. The right opening would have housed an optical sight with a field of view of 50 degrees, while the left opening would have housed a telemetric sight with a field of view of 15 degrees. On the rear of the turret was a 60-centimeter wide round hatch that could be used to evacuate the vehicle. When opened, it may have also allowed the commander to sit on it and look out the tank. The turret was protected by 60 millimeters of armor all around, and its cast construction, like the hull, made it heavily angled, which could have increased its effective armor even more. Now also take a look at the most important one: armament and ammunition stowage. The AMX-40's main armament was a 47mm SA-35 anti-tank gun with a negative 14-degree depression and plus 18-degree elevation, which can destroy the enemy in seconds. Obus de Rupture Model 1935 and Obus Explosif Model 1932 were standard for the 47mm SA-35. Obus de Rupture Model 1935 APC was an armor-piercing shell that weighed 1.62 kilograms with 660 meters per second velocities. High-explosive Obus Model 1932 shell weighed 1.41 kilograms and was fired at 590 meters per second. As with most French tanks of the era, the AMX-40 had a coaxial MAC 31E machine gun. It used a French 7.5 by 54mm cartridge. Gas-fed 750 rounds per minute. It shot 775 meters per second velocities. On each side of the hull, behind the turret, and in front of the radio and anti-aircraft machine gun were 36-round circular racks. Behind the driver's seat was a 30-round ammunition rack that could be collapsed for turret access. In the hull, in front of the turret and to the sides of the collapsing rack were two 10-shell racks. No 47mm ammunition was stored in the turret, giving the vehicle 122 rounds total. In the turret, on the side, and in front were four 150-round drum magazines for 7.5mm ammunition. Right of the driver, a rotating chain mechanism held 30 drum magazines. This chain would be rotated as magazines were taken from it, allowing for constant access to new magazines. AMX-40 had 5,100 7.5mm cartridges in 34 150-round drum magazines. However, the AMX-40 was unveiled in March 1940, just months before the fall of France, and it appears that the project was still far from being considered for prototype production by June 1940. The fall of France would result in the cancellation of many projects, but the development of new French armored vehicles would continue both openly and covertly, with vehicles such as the Panhard 178 CDM armored car, or Sarl 42 on the covert side, and improvements to the Samoa S40 on the more official side. But the vehicle gained a second life after its inclusion in the popular video game WOT, where it was widely mocked but also admired by the community. This newly found relevance of the vehicle may also be confusing, as another project bearing the name AMX-40, a major evolution of the AMX-30 MBT, offered as an export tank in the 1980s, mounting a 120mm gun, and many systems now featured in the Leclerc, bears the same name. Although a modern AMX-40 prototype remains in Saumur, all that remains of the WW2 project are the plans. So viewers, that's all about this Hulk of the French Army. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, hit the bell for getting more amazing videos like this. Meet you in the next video. Till then, bye.